Aloha, Professor. Today I'm going to talk about emotions, but more specifically, how emotions relate to my area of specialty and my channel idea. My channel and my general focus for my degree is video game design, so for my first video, I've chosen a topic about something that's hotly debated. Now, one of the things we learn about in our modules is that anger and specifically arguments online tend to be one of the most shared types of ideas. And one of the hottest topics in the video game world is predatory practices, specifically against children. The currently heated debate is about the idea of loot boxes and other in-game monetization strategies that have been called predatory or compared to gambling. At the very start of this video, which I'll link in the description, it says a new university study has come out with some harsh findings. Specifically uses the word harsh, and then predatory monetization. They like to use really heated language. It means the same thing, but the words they choose incite emotion of anger. They continue to use heated and hyperbolic language to make it sound more intense, and it also references scientific studies and tries to make it sound like it's objective and that their view is correct. The word addiction is used many times too. They're trying to play on the idea that video game designers are essentially drug dealers and they're taking advantage of people. The reason I chose this video is because it's a subject that I argue about a lot. So it does go with the theme we're talking about in the modules, because I have found myself being really heated and sharing a lot of things on Facebook about this topic. Recently, the Hawaii legislator decided that, they should try to make in-game loot boxes technically legally gambling, and they should regulate it as such. The video uses emotionally loaded words like predatory, scheme, and gambling on average every 5 to 10 seconds. In fact, by the halfway point, I think I counted over 10 uses of the word predatory. Now, in this particular video, didn't play on the protect the children emotion, but protecting the children is a really common and popular emotional trigger. Not just protecting children, but children in general are a really good emotional trigger. That kind of brings me to the next video. The next video does use the emotional trigger of children, but it takes a different tone, which I'll talk about. Before I present the next video, I'd like to talk about some of my own background. I used to be a music composition major at UNLV, and one of the elements of music composition is this idea of tension followed by resolution. This is a sort of emotional trigger that we didn't really talk about in the modules, but I do believe it is almost as strong as the anger in the argument. One of the most common things that people share are self-improvement, things of hope. People's lives suck, but there's hope. They want to get better. Basically, resolution, hope, seeing the future as positive. This goes along with the tension resolution feeling. Like, people really like that. There needs to be tension, then there needs to be resolution, and this is seen a lot in both film and music. So the next video I chose is titled Why Games Matter, A Better Vision. It starts off with a child in the doctor's office, and the mother is worried. The doctor checks out the child and then leaves the room and comes back more composed, after which he says, "I think your daughter is blind." As the video progresses, the narrator describes the condition very graphically, like using words like holes in my eyes. Powerful graphic imagery is a very good emotional stimulator. I should also note that at this point in the video, the animations depict the girl in a very cute manner. This goes along with the stimulating emotion, like thinking of children. Cute images of children are very emotionally stimulating. Despite the mother's distaste for video games, the doctor does end up recommending video games as a therapy for her vision. When they go to buy the video games, she needs to buy a magnifying glass that attaches to the Game Boy because, well, she has a vision impairment. Unfortunately, the magnifying glass doesn't fit over the old Game Boy she has. It only fits on the newer, smaller Game Boy Pocket models, and the mother doesn't want to buy it because she already doesn't like the idea in the first place. The tension. Then comes the resolution. The GameStop manager, quote, breaks more rules than I can count, as he goes and takes a display model from the case. He describes it as a piece of junk. The batteries are going to need to be taped in. They probably won't last very long, and, you know, it's a piece of junk, but it's free. And the video shows imagery for this. The cute little girl is full of hope. At 5 minutes 25 seconds, she says, I have just turned 29, and video games have given me more opportunities than I can count. The resolution. Now, the reason I chose those two videos is because they relate to video games, which is my area of study, but how do they relate to my channel? My channel isn't really about video games. If you think about it, it's more about art. It's a time-lapse of doing art, specifically level design, but what I'm designing is a world. How can I use emotions in an art time-lapse? Well, I thought about the games that I liked most, specifically one called Dragon's Dogma, and I realized that a lot of good single-player story games have some sort of deeper emotional effect. It's the same as an emotional viral video. People are more likely to like the game, even if it's a really terrible game design, if the story really captivated them. So I wondered if I could use that in my level design time-lapse. One of the themes I wanted to use in my game is this post-apocalyptic, you know, humans neglected and destroyed themselves in the world, but now nature is overtaking it. So the first thing I did was look up a video on climate change to see if I could find one that demonstrated the use of emotion really well. The next video that I linked in the description starts off with the typical tried and true powerful imagery, combined with narration predicting devastation. Words like massive potential catastrophic changes are just around the corner. It not only tells you that horrible things are about to happen, but that they will happen soon. And it uses hyperbolic words to emphasize this point. Fear and anger are already being fed to us 30 seconds in. The other thing we learned in the modules was that the videos that tend to be shared and go viral and the ideas, they don't really evolve into arguments with the other side so much as they circle around themselves and start to support their own arguments and kind of paint a picture of the other side that only they, you know, agree with. At 52 seconds, the video does this when it starts talking about the climate change deniers. And then they even play on the protect the children aspect that I mentioned earlier. At 1:16, the video explains how special interests are, quote, selling your children's future. Okay, so climate change is clearly an extremely emotional topic and hotly debated, but how does it relate to my video channel about game design? Well, as I mentioned, climate change is one of the underlying themes I would like to portray in my game, but I'm not making a video about my game. I'm making a video about the levels. So I went and did a search to see if I could find any precedent or inspiration. I managed to find a level design time-lapse video that has over 2 million views, way more than all the other 3 videos I presented put together, almost 70,000 likes. And the interesting thing about this video is there is no text, no narration, no outside imagery, no nothing. It is just a time-lapse of a level design with music in the background. It uses powerful imagery to kind of give that emotional trigger of nature. Nature is a really powerful trigger. We did talk about that in the triggers module. But there's more in the video. You might notice that there's a nuclear hazard sign. It doesn't need to be there. it could just be the ruins of human civilization, but the mere visual of the nuclear hazard sign kind of adds that feeling, that idea that people are already thinking that it's the humans' fault. It's the somber music in the background really supports this emotion. Thanks for watching.